lots of different seasons, and now we have trim season. All right, for what it's worth to some of you out there, not much worth to me, but for some maybe. Anyway, let's get into the IMDb plot. A group of young people go to a remote marijuana farm where they hope to make quick cash or quick score, I don't know, we'll see. But they discover the location's dark secrets and now must try to escape the mountain on which they are trapped. Okay, so some interesting stuff to kind of unfold there, but before I do, gotta get it out of the way. I saw this film courtesy of the Popcorn Frights Film Festival, so thank you to them for allowing me a chance to watch the film. So also being a new film, I'll try to keep this as spoiler free as possible. I believe it was also shown at Fright Fest. I could be wrong on that. If not, it was being shown some other festival that I was seeing some information for. I will imagine it will be at some other festivals, but I hope at the end of the day it does reach a bigger audience somehow, some way, hopefully on one of the streaming outlets. I think it would be great for Shudder, but that's just my opinion. But if not, hopefully it would be along the line of, at least a DVD. But that might hint to my thoughts on it and not be a spoiler there for how many pools of blood it got. But with that, let's take a little bit of a dive into this movie. What I kind of credit to start, I'm always looking for new stuff in horror movies. I like to see new stuff. Sometimes it's just a touch, something small that's new, and sometimes it's maybe bigger. Obviously harder to find bigger new stuff because a lot has been done and it's hard not to do again. So yeah, you can say, they end up in a sort of cabin in the woods out in the middle of nowhere. That's obviously been done millions of times, so that's not really what's new. But kind of the central theme here being marijuana farm. And that's kind of what they're up there doing, and that's kind of the theme behind things, or the reasoning here. A little bit new there, so I liked that. I'm trying to give it credit for something new, and I'm going to give it credit for that, and at least the storyline of that. Not that we haven't seen some marijuana in horror or marijuana theme, but along this line, I haven't seen it, so whatever. I always say I haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not out there somewhere. I know I see a lot, but I haven't seen everything. So, whatever. I'm giving it credit for that. If you don't want to give it credit for that, it's fine. Anyway, you have a young girl here, Emma, along with some other people who are going to end up going to this farm to work. Some of them have done this before, familiar or more into doing this, or not really scared. Emma's a little bit more taken back. She has... Early on, you see something happen to her. She's a little bit more, maybe afraid, timid, not really excited about new situations and so forth. Maybe a little bit more shy. There's different ways to describe it, but let's just say she's more cautious of going up there. Let's say that maybe she's seen some horror movies before and knows the possibilities of what's out there, and she definitely needs the money and really can't say no, but wants to say no, and probably knows better at the end of the day. But anyway, she does what so many have done in horror movies, who know better but end up in a horror type situation. So all good, it seems. She goes up there and she gets introduced to what they do and whatever. Almost like they're stranded there. Obviously there are people watching the farm, keeping them there and so forth. Obviously you got to protect the marijuana farm, so there are armed people up there, all led by a really creepy woman who owns the farm and is behind everything. Kind of as they start, they think it's all good. The woman who's running the farm is really nice at the start. Kind of they have the thing where you kind of get to meet all the characters, and like I said, some are more into the trimming and whatever. Some are. There's one girl in particular. She's into smoking a lot, and she's like out to smoke everything. And then the woman who owns the farm says there's one thing in particular that's just for her, and nobody else is supposed to smoke it. So. That's an obvious clue that something might not great going to happen to that person wanting to smoke that. Um, but yeah, if they had gone up there and just did their thing, probably things would have worked out. But it gets a little out of control, and then that's when we dive into the horror of the situation here. I'm not going to dive too much into the horror of the situation here because I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you guys to see it and enjoy it as I did. There are some really good deaths. Like I said, it is about a farm, so there is, obviously some marijuana plants. One plant in particular that, is a little bit in a different, it's on the farm, but in a different location. And I'll say there's a couple of good scenes that happen around that. Again, I don't want to dive too much in the horror that's happening here, but it is really good. Not going to say that it's totally new, but I liked what was going on here. There are going to be some good deaths, and that when there are good deaths, I'm all about that. So there are some good death scenes, which I enjoyed. So, that's another reason why I liked it. And again, there's going to be some really interesting stuff with this one plant that's here at the end. It's really hard to get too much into it without, spoiling anything. I don't want to do that. I want you guys to see it. I think you guys are going to like it when it gets to that. Definitely a horror film. It also mentions thriller, and I guess, there's no problem with that, but, it very much sets up to be kind of like a thriller, but definitely swings horror, definitely in the back half of the film. And as this group kind of gets killed off, there's going to, maybe, I guess I give you a hint to kind of delve maybe a little bit into the supernatural and so forth. But it definitely has some dark moments, definitely has some mysterious moments as well. It's going to have some, there's going to be some mystery to what's going on here. They're going to save it and try to save it as far as they can into it. You might catch a little bit of what's going on and so forth. They will kind of explain things, and then it's just the usual. You're gonna see are any characters gonna survive? Are they all gonna die? What is ultimately gonna happen here on this farm? What else is there to say without giving too much away? I don't know. You almost think that it could have gotten too much into the, it's marijuana themed and into the smoking, whatever. Obviously, that is a theme in the movie. But it's not that, everything's happening because everybody's smoked out or anything like that. Definitely some supernatural stuff. And it's explained there, and I don't want to get into it just to let you guys watch it and catch that. But yeah, and it's not, one of those movies where people are getting silly smoked out and silly stuff is happening because of that. It is a serious situation. They want them there. They're harvesting and trimming this marijuana. So, it is a serious film. It might be a moment to laugh here and there. Like I said, there are different characters, so some you may like more than others. And like I said, things kind of go south when the one person really tries to get into marijuana that they're not supposed to be getting into, and then that kind of makes things go south. Then there's they kind of, I like the ending, lots the deaths lead up to that, but then there's the ending where they kind of wrap it up. They show you a character that you thought might have escaped everything, but I guess I liked that they went back to that, but I also disliked that they didn't ultimately show you what, they kind of leave it for you to assume what happens to that person and not really show you. And I'd rather have seen it. You guys know me, I want to see the death scene. But it is the end of the movie, so I guess, there's like, wrapping it up and showing you we didn't forget about this character, and this character is also going to get what they deserve. So definitely, wait it out, and so forth. So again, I'm going to give this one 4 pools of blood. I really enjoyed it. I almost encouraged to give it 4.5 pools of blood. I don't know, it's kept my attention. I liked the deaths, and I just kind of liked just the different elements of it, just the whole marijuana gave it a little bit of a different element to it, even though there were other things that are very similar. So, 4 pools of blood, stick with that, but definitely close to 4.5. I wouldn't argue with that. There's not looking at IMDb, obviously not a whole lot of people have reviewed it yet, but it is at 8.2 for now. I'm sure once that hits a wider audience, those numbers seem to shrink back down towards a 7 or 6. But I definitely think that this one is definitely worth seeing. Hopefully, I don't know the news on it. I don't know what is going to happen to it, but hopefully horror fans get to see this. I think this is one perfect for October, so hopefully it reaches horror fans at some point in October. That would be my hopes for it. Really enjoyed this one, and it's not. I'm not even gonna be silly about it. You don't even need to be. There are some horror films you wish maybe you smoked through, or maybe if you were high, it might have been a better movie. But this one, I don't think you don't need to smoke. You may want to smoke afterwards if you can't really handle the death scenes and so forth. But as far as watching it, you don't really have to. Just throw that out there. Whatever. I don't know. So 4 pools of blood, that is out of 5. So horrorreviews.blogspot.com is where you can find more of my reviews, written and video. But if you're just interested in the video reviews, definitely subscribe, do everything that everybody wants you to do. If not, no worries, no problem. But if you do, don't forget to check out the shorts, trying to keep you guys entertained there as well. Twitter, Facebook information down below, so feel free to join me there. If not, no pressure there either. But we can talk horror there. And definitely, if you guys get to see the movie, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section down below and what you guys thought. And definitely, if I catch news of this coming up anywhere, I will definitely make sure to share it along the way. So with that, I guess I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.